What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and it is no secret that the Houston Police Department completely dropped the ball when it comes to the Rudy Farias case. And like I said in a past video, not only did they drop the ball, they picked the ball back up and then they field goal kicked it right out of the stadium. But just how badly did they really drop the ball is the question. We know that over the years, they had run-ins with Rudy. Over the years, investigators even went into Rudy's home while Rudy was there. Didn't see him, didn't find him, got fake names. Hell, one time, investigators came and they did find Rudy at the house, chilling. They got some fake names, didn't even bother to take IDs. Nothing. They completely dropped the ball. And like I told you all before, that's why they're so hesitant when it comes to bringing charges against Rudy's mom. It may be a hard concept for some people to grasp, but if the Houston Police Department charges Rudy's mom, that means that Rudy's mom did something illegal, right? And if Rudy's mom did something illegal, and the Houston Police Department had gone to this house multiple times, had talked to Rudy multiple times, and it would mean that Houston Police Department didn't do their jobs correctly. So, if they charge Rudy's mom, they're also acknowledging that they failed Rudy. Because they could have stopped all of this stuff from happening years ago, but they didn't. They didn't do their jobs, or some people think they purposely turned a blind eye. But apparently, it's even worse than we thought. Because from what I'm seeing now, not only did investigators show up to Rudy's home, but at one point they came to Rudy's home and they saw there were padlocks on certain doors. The house smelled like pee. The grandma is like literally molding into the couch, bed sores. Oh man, it is terrible. It is terrible. But I want to go ahead and dive into this article so you all can have a better understanding of what's happening here. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and let's go ahead and just dive right in, shall we? It was a compelling detail from the missing persons saga of Rudy Farias. The teenager had left his northeast Houston home in March 2015 to walk his two dogs. And while the dogs soon wandered home, Farias vanished for 8 years only to reappear last week. Now, as this account unravels, volunteer private investigators who worked the original missing persons case throughout its first 2 years are wondering if anything they were told by Farias' mother was true, even the part about the dogs. On Thursday, Houston police confirmed that Farias had returned home the next day after the mother reported him missing and had remained there all along. Let's pause right there. So right there, right freaking there, the Houston Police Department knows that Rudy returned home the next day and that Rudy's mom was lying for 8 years about him being missing and still no charges. And it's not like Rudy came home, they crafted this lie, and then they lived a normal, prosperous, honest living. No, Rudy's mom went on to scam for years. Lie for years. She would bring the families of other missing people and involve them. It is truly, truly one of the most evil things that I've ever seen. But Houston Police Department knew that he returned home the next day and never did anything about it. Let's go further. Like much of Janie Santana's story, Rudy's dogs may also be fictitious. Two private eyes told Insider. Where were those dogs? Licensed Texas investigator Martin Renteria wondered in a phone call on Thursday. Jamie could not produce the dogs. She said she didn't know where the dogs were. We had no corroboration that there were ever really dogs. It was the most unusual case we had ever worked. Trying to find Rudy, added Renteria, a retired Port of Los Angeles police officer who worked the Farias case with his wife, Barbara Renteria, who is also a PI. The two run the Checkmate Investigative Field Services Agency out of Spring, Texas. As it stands now, what we suspected is apparently coming true, the husband said. All the leads we were given came from Janie. Therefore, all the leads we have to consider to be false. The home where Rudy Farias allegedly remained for all of those 8 years is a little beige ranch, a 3-bedroom built in 1975, and is worth about $175,000. In the 2 years of their probe, we've been to that house more times than you have fingers, Barbara Renteria said. Much about the home never sat well, she said. There were padlocks on the doors in the hallway, and she would never let us speak to her mother. She said, a reference to Rosa Souza Rodriguez, who lived there at the time, who records show died in 2020. We went to his bedroom to look for clues, Barbara continued. We do this with all missing kids. The teen's schoolwork was there, in his distinctive printed handwriting, she said. But I found a letter that was a letter from Rudy to his mom, written in cursive. And we took it and compared it to other pieces of Janie's handwriting and realized that she wrote it. It matched her handwriting perfectly. In the supposed Dear Mom letter, Farias, or whoever penned it, explained that he'd run away on purpose. That letter and the stormed off scenario was never passed along to authorities, the Renterias said. Instead, the mother went with a more sympathetic claim that her son had simply vanished in thin air, possibly at the hands of Mexican traffickers. We asked Janie for permission to search the house, to search his room. We did just that. She let us go in there in the first few weeks of the case. And she had a cell phone that supposedly was found by a witness that saw a struggle between Rudy and a gang of kids. The cell phone was crushed. Santana hosted a fundraiser around this supposed abduction scenario, the PI said, and the abduction witness, a teenage girl, spoke at the event. And she could not hold the story together. So she just walked away. This was someone who Janie had forced into talking to us. By 2020, the little ranch where Farias may have been hidden in plain sight had fallen into disrepair, according to allegations made during a 2020 Harris County, Texas probate court battle over whether it was unsafe for his grandmother, then 85, to live there. Santana was fighting to become guardian of her mother, Farias' grandmother. An opposing petition was filed by Santana's half-sister, Sylvia Sanchez Lopez, with whom the elderly woman was by then living. Farias' Aunt Sylvia had this to say about Santana's little beige ranch, which she described as a non-safe, not clean, or habitable residence. While in the Santana home, the grandmother slept on the couch, which smelled of urine. The home had animal urine and feces throughout the house, just like Britney Spears' house. The grandmother passed away months after the court filing, while still living with Sanchez Lopez, and before the guardianship could be resolved. By Thursday, Santana had been questioned, but not charged by Houston police in her son's disappearance. She did not respond to repeated efforts to reach out to her. It was unclear on Thursday where Farias was or whether he and his mother were together. At one point, we wondered that perhaps Janie had killed her own son and buried him somewhere, says Martin the PI. I honestly thought that she killed the boy, said Barbara. I really did. And we did form the opinion that perhaps Janie is hiding him out somewhere. At one point, the couple was so intent to learn what was going on, they briefly followed Santana. Any clue that was ever brought forward to us came from Janie herself, which was extremely odd. It's out of the norm because usually we receive clues from other types of people, phone calls or messages. But no, everything came from Janie herself, including 2 tips that Farias was in the clutches of Mexican traffickers. Houston police, with whom the Renterias were in contact with, appeared to find the case odd as well, the couple said. Ultimately, there was never any concrete evidence of wrongdoing, and Farias, it turned out, had been 18 when he went missing, not 17, as Santana had first claimed to authorities. In the end, he was an adult. Sometimes adults make their own decision, and if they want to remain lost, they remain lost. And since we were working pro bono, after 2 years, we couldn't spend much more time on the case. You know this Janie lady, Rudy's mom? She is really bold. Not only is she crazy, but she is really bold. Think about it. You have to be one bold, crazy MFer to lie about the things that she lied about, but not just that. Not only is she lying about her son being missing, this lady is so bold that she goes and gets private investigators to try to help find her missing son that is missing inside of her house. This lady must honestly think that she is invincible. And, I mean, why wouldn't she? Nothing has ever been done to her. She's never suffered the consequences of anything. She feels like she's invincible, and I can guarantee you right now, she's probably sitting on top of the world like nothing can touch her. We know that she's a psychotic, delusional, crazy piece of crap. And right now, she's probably thinking like, you can't stop me. I'm King Kong. You know what I mean? Like, what in the hell? Lady hired private investigators almost like, trying to get caught. What is wrong with her? But I think she enjoyed it. She enjoyed not only the attention, she enjoyed the little drama in her life. She needed something. She wanted something. But these private investigators came to the house, and that's another thing. How bold do you have to be? You have a missing kid, supposedly, that you know isn't missing. You hire private investigators to come help you. Or you get private investigators to come help you, knowing that your kid isn't missing. And you don't even bother to take the padlocks off the doors when they come. That's a red flag right there. Why was that ignored? You have a mom who's very obviously lying about her story. You go to her house and there's padlocks on the doors in the hallway. You don't think for 1 second that maybe Rudy's inside? I'm not trying to be mean to these private investigators because I understand this is a sensitive situation and you don't want to blame the mom for anything. But at the same time, maybe you could have did a little bit more. But at the end of the day, they were in contact with law enforcement the entire time. So law enforcement knew all of the things that I just talked to you about years ago. They knew about the padlocks. They knew the house smelled like pee. And most importantly, they had to have known that Rudy's mom gave the private investigators one story and gave the police a completely different story. Yet, nothing was ever done. No one ever really cared. And this just shows you how hardly they dropped the ball. They didn't drop the ball. They spiked the ball. Like when someone gets a touchdown, they grab the football and throw it in the ground as hard as they could. That's what they did. They spiked the ball. They said the hell with Rudy and whatever they got going on over there. We ain't going to deal with that nonsense. Basically. But this is the part that's most frustrating to me. Is that I don't know Rudy's mom, but I know the type of person she is and how sadistic, evil, and delusional she is. She's living in her own little la-la land with made-up characters and people who don't exist. And I imagine that she's probably sitting there kind of smugly right now. Like, thinking that, the world revolves around her and that she can't get taken down. And I hope that changes. I want to see the look on her face when she's arrested. And she needs to be arrested. I think it's in everyone's best interest that she be arrested. Leaving someone like this out on the streets, not only does it make life more dangerous for Rudy, it makes life more dangerous for everyone. Everyone in the area. You want me to believe that this woman's not capable of going somewhere and just doing something insane and hurting other people? She's fully capable of it. So this woman needs to be taken down. And I'm going to do everything in my power to keep raising awareness about this story. And hopefully something is done. But as of right now, you heard the details. This is just, like I keep telling y'all, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. I feel like even if you take all of the crazy stuff that Rudy had to deal with over the years, take his disappearance, all of that, push it to the side, I still think there are plenty of things that Rudy's mom has done that she needs to be held accountable for, that any normal person would be in jail for. I would be in jail right now if I was involved in a situation like this. But somehow, this woman's like invincible. Everyone knows she's lying. She's lying to everybody. She's scamming everybody. She's having, fundraisers for a missing son that's not missing. She's doing whatever the hell she wants. Whatever the hell she wants, and no repercussions, no consequences. That's sad. That's messed up. It's like, so the rest of society, we have to live to a certain standard. But apparently, Rudy's mom can do whatever the hell she wants. At this point, what can she do that she can't get away with? I mean, what is it going to take? Is it going to take her literally taking someone's life for y'all to finally be like, okay, well, we've seen enough here? But before I get too frustrated and go on a 15-minute rant, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I feel it coming. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll be talking to you all in the next video.